Nathan Cox, thanks for joining us on Around the Home. I'm afraid to tell you, you guys have been using drywall mud wrong since the beginning. Okay, now let me tell you one thing though. If you went out and got actual joint compound and actual paper tape, you guys are on a very good start, okay? Now, if you have real drywall repair to do, I'm not talking about like little nail holes or a molly hole. You want real joint compound, not spackle. And if you have to put a seam together, because maybe you're fixing a large hole or you don't have to put another piece of drywall in there, this paper tape is what you need. It's what professionals use. It's the reason for that. That mesh stuff doesn't work at all. I don't care what you might have saw on YouTube, someone else's thing. I don't care what the guy at the hardware store who probably never used this stuff before told you. I have a video on top right. We'll go into further explanation of that, okay? So these buckets are 4.5 gallons. They got the mud in them, and you think that they're just ready to go right out of the bat. And they look it, but they're not quite. That's what we're talking about today. Now I know some of you were all just like, what are you talking about? That's pre-mixed mud. It's ready to go. I've always just used it like this. My dad taught me to use it just like this, okay? Well, you're kind of missing something here, and you're making the repairs actually harder on yourself. Let me explain. Okay, now we got some drywall tools here. Hopefully you got some decent knives. Got a 6 here and a 14 and a 10 and the real stainless steel pan, not that plastic one with the 2 little metal things. If you haven't got yourself a pan yet, do yourself a favor and spend just a couple extra dollars with the real one. It just works better, okay? And I will have Amazon links in the description down below for just about everything here that you can find to help you out. Okay, now watch this. Alright, this bucket here I've already been using for a while. I'll take a little bit out of here. Alright, the mud is soft, it's pliable, it's not drooping off my knife, but it's very easy to use. Okay, that's because I've thinned it down. Alright, I'll explain that a little bit further in a minute on how to do that properly, but I've already taken care of this bucket here. This bucket here, brand new, just popped the lid. Okay, that's just like, it looks like a big clump of clay. Okay, it's not dripping off the knife, it's just gonna, yeah, okay, that's the problem when it's that thick. It's very hard to spread and smooth out and to thin out, and I'm sure you've heard of feathering the edges and all that kind of stuff. It's very hard to do, nearly impossible when the mud is that thick, okay? This is not like a challenge where you're sticking your fork up in your chili and hoping that it stands up, okay? That's not what you want with the drywall mud. Okay, so to help us out, we have the Drywall Beater, okay? Which looks like a commercial grade potato masher. It's almost exactly the same tool, it really is. Except that this isn't stainless steel and the handle's a little longer. Okay, and then we just need some water. And we're gonna water this down, this mud, and thin it down a little bit. Okay, so let's get this thing thinned down a little bit, huh? Yep, that's pretty thick. Alright. And these buckets a little on the full side, so it's actually gonna be kind of hard to do. Especially since I'm holding the camera with one hand. Okay. And it might be easier to take some of this out and put it in another bucket or in your drywall pan and kind of get it started. So for our first coats of your repair, you want to keep it a little thick still, because you don't want it to shrink too much. And then after that, you're going to want to thin it down even a little bit more. Come back, add a little more water, beat it, so that it'll spread even easier and you can get those edges feathered. And then if you're getting into working into the corners and stuff like that, you might even thin it down a third time. I'm on the last coat of my project, so I have thinned this down a little bit more. So we can see it still wants to hold on to the beater, but it will come off like a really, really thick, like a custard almost, okay? That's about the thinnest you ever want it. So we just got to find that balance of making this so that it's pliable enough so you can really work it without having to fight it, but not so thin that it's drooping or shrinking really like crazy. Well, I hope this video helps you guys out in your next drywall project, or helps inspire you to do that project you've been meaning to do. And this just helps it, a little pro trick that's just going to help it easier so you can get that good finished product. That's what we want. We want it to look good at the end so you can brag about it a little bit, right? A little bragging rights, some brownie points with the spouse. Anyways, Thanks again so much. You guys have a great one. Take a time, subscribe to the channel, check out the website, and an additional video for you guys to see. Thanks again.